back to some real questions and some real reality here. And I'll challenge, of course, some facts put on the table by my Green colleague who talked about an existential crisis of our whole species, which I don't think that's ever in writing anywhere from any body that our species is at risk. But if you want to put that on the table, I'd appreciate it, Mr. Morris. Thank you. We're here to decarbonize and look at what we need to do here.
Okay,
well, since we're on the conversation of denial, we'll give him the latest statement by UN Secretary General Guterres. It's talking about the mass extinction of animals. I know they don't want to hear that, but if he's saying it's not true, we'll put it on the
I've stopped the clock, Mr. McLean. You have it's back to you for 4.5 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to ask some questions of Ms. Johnson here. Ms. Johnson, thank you for coming here today. Can you tell me about the jobs that are involved in the offshore oil production in Newfoundland, please? Can you tell me how many jobs are there in production and how many are there in exploration?
For every exploration well, it creates about 400 jobs in Newfoundland and Labrador. And then if a discovery is found, that is thousands of jobs through the capital development phase and thousands through the operations phase. So there are about 22,000 people in the province directly and indirectly employed in the sector. And that is projected to increase to over 50,000 jobs over the next decade. As you know, somebody mentioned earlier, Bay du Nord was recently approved for environmental assessment, so that has the potential for thousands of jobs. And one thing I will note about that project, it is one of the lowest carbon intensity projects in Canada.
Thank you. We've heard that, Ms. Johnson. What I'd like to know about is about the labor. So 50,000 jobs. Right. What percentage of Newfoundland's working population is that?
Well, the potential is to get to 50,000. Currently, it's over 21,000. I'd have to verify the number, but I think it's about a little over 200,000 working population. So the largest,
over 10. Yeah, the largest contributor to your economy, would you say? So
for sure.
And those are very. Tell me about the technicality of those jobs, if you could, please, and how much training goes into the offshore, if you will.
Very highly specialized training to get offshore. There's a lot of training that goes into the basic survival training course. There's continuous ongoing training. Safety and environment is of utmost paramount. So a lot of engineers, years and years of training, continuous training, but also a lot of technical jobs and right on down through the supply chain.
Thank you very much. Something not easily transitioned to filling up electric conduits, if you will. May I just move to Mr. McTague? Mr. McTague, I'll ask you a question about some facts that were put on the table here. Ms. Smith actually said $126,000 are going to be lost in the energy transition, and cleaner energy will result in lower energy bills. Can you tell me how more expensive energy results in lower energy bills, please?
Well, it doesn't. And of course, we have to recognize that when we're comparing strictly some renewables, such as solar or in this case, wind, that they are not effective in terms, unless they are backed up, usually by natural gas, or I think, as Ms. Smith has pointed out, by other electrical means. In this case, of course, in my province, that would mean nuclear. The issue, I think, for many of us, though, however, is that we are seeing a circumstance where the reality of high-cost renewables are making and skewing to the upside, the cost for ratepayers, not just for the cost of hydro in and of itself, but also—
Mr. McTague, I have to move here quickly if you can, please. So you talk, Ms. Smith also talked about electrical vehicles were cheaper overall. Can you tell me if that's supportable by the analysis you've seen?
No, not at all. And internal combustion engines, the most efficient ones, 2021, 2022, mated with hybrids are probably half the price.
Thank you. And it bears out in the price that these still require significant government subsidies, both at the employment level and at the purchase level. Ms. Smith, I'll ask you one final question. You talked, I agree with you, there is heat loss in internal combustion engines. Can you tell me what the phase transition is like from electricity to heat?
Well, I want to go back to your question about electricity bills.
I asked you a specific, Ms. Smith, I asked you a question about the power loss and phase transition from electricity to heat.
Well, I can tell you that in fossil fuel electricity production or in vehicles, as you're well aware, there's a significant amount more energy is lost through heat than is put into the work. And that if you're talking about that phase transition, it's far
no,
more
I'm
efficient.
talking about the phase transition when you switch from one power source, a current power source, if you will, to a heat power source. So electricity requires a phase transition, which means you need twice as much power from electricity to heat the same room. Are you aware of that?
What I'm well aware of is that your energy bills will go down, and this is proven out by extensive modeling by agencies such as the International Energy Agency, as well as modeling done here in Canada by Climate Choices and by ourselves. And so it's, I'll send Dan a copy of the paper we produced about vehicles and how your energy costs, your overall cost of running a vehicle will be lower. Interestingly, I think people need to look at the cost of electric vehicles now today in 2022 and how they have dropped and how this is now more affordable. It wasn't this way even 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Renewable energy.
The batteries have just gone up by thousands of dollars.
We're out of time.